Guys, we're working with our friends at DraftKings, the official gaming partner of the UFC, to put you at the center of the action with a shot at $1 million in total prizes. Download DraftKings and enter the UFC 261 Daily Fantasy Contest. Do that right now. There's millions of dollars in total prizes up for grabs all week, and I'm going to tell you how to play. Draft 6 fighters from Saturday's card. Stay below the $50,000 salary cap and rack up fantasy points for advances, takedowns, knockdowns, and more. Full rules and scoring can be found at DraftKings.com/MMA. I'm picking Usman over Masvidal. If you're a new user, go to DKNG.co/Sonnen. Use the promo code Sonnen when signing up to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. I was talking with Errol earlier. We were on ESPN. We were doing Errol and the Bad Guy. And the question came up, and boy, this was pointed. I mean, this got right to it, which was simply, is this Masvidal's last chance to be a world champion? I don't know that you could ask a question any more direct or put any more pressure on a guy, but it is very real, and I do want people to see this. I am so glad for the way this story is being told, which is not that of a cash grab. We've done a cash grab. We don't lie about it. First time these two fought, it was a cash grab. It was short notice and nobody else could do it, and here's your money and go out there and see what happens 25 minutes later. That is not what this is. I think this is Masvidal's last chance to fight for a championship. And don't forget, not for nothing, not just because that opportunity might not arise, not because if Usman beat him, Usman would be 2-0 and shut the book on him, and not because Usman appears to not be going anywhere anytime soon, right? I mean, in all fairness, Masvidal is going to be one of the bigger tests for Usman, and then Usman is going to have to pull a St. Pierre and start going through the deck a second time. Dana's already talked about Colby's going to be up next. We know that Leon's got this fight coming with Nate. Don't forget, Usman and Leon fight. I only bring to you because he's going to have to go through the deck a second time over, and that's fine. I don't know that Masvidal has what it takes to climb back up, and I don't mean skill-wise. I'm talking about the grit. Does Masvidal, if he falls in the rankings, if he falls to number 5 or 6, does he want to come back through something that he's done time and time again? Because I will remind you, it's not how he got here. Masvidal didn't lose to Usman and then go start fighting top contenders. He sat out. He dug in. He was wildly popular, and he had the gift of Usman calling him out. Now, I'm not looking to slide Masvidal. I'm looking to answer the question using history as my trajectory to the future. There was nothing since Masvidal's last loss that said, I'm hungry and I want it and I'll take on anybody. There wasn't. So if he was to lose to Usman a second time, I do not believe that he goes and jumps in there with Chimaev. I do not believe he goes and jumps in there with Colby with the caveat of a deal with Dana that if I win this, I get part 3. It's a tough sell. So now let's imagine that Usman loses to Colby just by example. Would Masvidal step back in? Would he go right? I don't think so. I think he would have to do something in between. He would be coming off of 2 losses after all. Right? It's one of those things. Don't forget, we're seeing this right now with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's won 3 world championships. He claims he's won 2, but he's won 3. That's how successful he's been. He's forgot a world damn championship he won. He doesn't get to fight Poirier for the belt because Conor, is coming off of a stoppage loss. So even though it's to the same guy, you see where this becomes problematic. You see where it becomes very unlikely that Masvidal is to get this opportunity again. And make sure you don't forget, just because you all of a sudden care about Masvidal, he's not some new kid on the block. He is not Chimaev, who bust in here and shot up to the top. Masvidal has been doing this since he was a teenager. Masvidal is like the hands of stone, Roberto Duran. I know Masvidal and Duran get along, and Duran even ring-walked him at MSG for the BMF title, but I will remind you, Roberto Duran used to lie to promoters about his age to get in fights to earn money to feed his family, and Masvidal largely did the same thing. Masvidal used to lie about how old he was so he could get into some of these backroom fights that were going on, backyard fights. I don't like this kind of stuff, but it's out there, it's public, it's on YouTube by example. He used to lie to get into these fights so he can get some money for his pocket. I mean, he's a rough guy. I remind you of that because this is a lifelong dream and it was a lifelong journey. And even if his rise was meteoric, man, he took the long road. He has earned, nobody did anything for Masvidal. Nobody gave Masvidal a damn thing. The only one that possibly extended some level of help to Masvidal was Nate Diaz. In all fairness, and neither of them is likely to tell the story that way. They're likely to give a big middle FU to each other, but that's true. Nate Diaz helped Masvidal a lot. And I also resent the question, and I seem to be the only one. Again, let me tell you what the question was. Will Masvidal ever have a chance at gold again? Oh, excuse me. He's got gold. It's called the BMF title. Why should Masvidal get to have a championship that has no lineage and he doesn't ever have to defend, right? I mean, there's two ways to look at this. Why should anybody be able to have a championship that they don't have to put on the line? That's not the way sports work. Not this sport. You put it all out there. Every time you walk out, it's all up for grabs. And he's got a BMF belt. By the way, he's got to defend it, in my opinion. Now, the lineage would say that Usman won it and is already the champion. I disagree. Belt's got to be on the line. Even Ric Flair will tell you that. If you lose, but it's a non-title match, you don't lose the title. I bring that to you because I love opportunity. I love the fact that there was an opportunity for somebody to grab it that night. I wish they would bring back the super fight. I thought the super fight was a great belt. I don't know that we've ever needed the interim belt. But now we do have the BMF. That thing needs to be defended, in my opinion. And Masvidal has it. And does it have to be title versus title? Why wouldn't it be? I mean, that's not what the contract says. So we can live to have this fight another day. But acting as though Masvidal is going to leave empty-handed, I just got to remind you, I was there. Sold out arena, the Mecca, live on pay-per-view. World leaders were there. The Rock was in attendance. I mean, not for nothing. That was real. That was as real as it gets. It was a 5-round contest. I feel like I have to remind people of this because people keep on acting like it doesn't happen. And even Dana has said we're not going to resurrect it. It's a one-time only thing. I don't know about, man. I think you got to rethink that. I really think you do, because listen to what you're doing. How would you guys like to be in this spot? You're given a championship that you can never lose. Right? There's some records that can never be broken, but they're very rare records. For example, the first two, and then fill in the blank. Well, whoever was the first to run a 5-minute mile, run a 4-minute mile, gets to have it forever. That's one record that can never be beaten, but most other records are only set to be broken. Imagine being in Masvidal's spot, or it could have been Nate Diaz's. It was fair game, but it was between those two boys. And the rest of the guys in the back that all would like a shot at that BMF title, they can't get it because we're not going to do it again. Why? What do you mean we're not going to do it again? We have to do it again. Eddie Alvarez and Justin Gaethje went and fought for the title of the UFC's most violent man. I did not know until 8 days before that fight that Eddie Alvarez had made that up and it just caught on. I thought that's what they were fighting for. I thought that it was actually said ahead of time. And by the way, that's the way sports work. Do you want to know how you can win the Super Bowl? Okay, somebody one day thought of a game and they called it the Super Bowl. Whoever wins that wins the Super Bowl. We have state wrestling meets. I'm a kid's wrestling coach. Do you want to know what makes the state tournament the state tournament? The person that made up the name of their event that they got to sign the date for called it the state tournament. There's nothing else. And everybody else looks around and goes, well, we should only have one of those a year, and they've already got it. Okay, let's move on. So now we have a state tournament once a year. But it was just a whole bunch of clubs that threw their name into a hat. Who came out? What are you going to call your event? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just sharing for you guys. There's not some kind of a policy. You don't have to write your congressman. There's not laws that have to be passed to have these kind of belts and championship and monikers put up. I watched the Paul nerd have some belt held over his head. I was live at Floyd versus Conor. They broke out some belt called the money belt. There's nothing wrong with that. It was a great way to cap off an evening. If I'm not going to get my way and the super fight's not going to come back, if I'm not going to get my way and we're going to keep the interim belt, we're not going to respect it the same. Come on. Chael's owed one over here. The BMF is already here. I didn't create it, but I witnessed it. It's real. It needs a lineage. Masvidal, win or lose, in my opinion, already has gold and in my opinion, needs to defend it.